Hey friends, welcome to the Taste Toast Travel Podcast. We're your hosts and resident foodies, Epicureans, and lovers of all things travel and exploration.
I'm John, and I'm a certified somm and a certified specialist of wine, and I've worked in the wine and hospitality industry for over 10 years.
I'm Tara, and I've worked in the wine industry for over 7 years, both in hospitality and digital marketing.
When my wife and I first met, we bonded over our love of eating, drinking, and traveling the world. That passion has only grown over time. Now we want to share this passion with you from an insider perspective.
On this podcast, you can expect a wide range of topics on all things food, travel, and beverage. This includes non-alcoholic drinks too, because we don't discriminate here. That means we'll dig into things like where to go, where to stay, and what to eat or drink along the way. We'll be serving tea on hot topics and big news, dig into the cultural significance and impacts that food, drink, and travel have on our lives, and we'll even bring on guests to join us who are just as excited, passionate, and knowledgeable about tasting, toasting, and traveling as we are. And because we're not your ordinary foodie and travel-focused podcast, you can definitely expect some pop culture topics here too.
We're only scratching the surface here, and we have a lot more in store that we can't wait to share with you all. Grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and enjoy the journey with us. Cheers.
Hey guys, welcome back to Taste Toast Travel. I'm Tara.
And I'm John.
And I'm going to kick it over to you to start this one.
Well, I'm kicking it back because I got nothing.
Get out of here. I'm actually very excited for this episode because...
Tell us
finish
why.
my sentence. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. What? Go.
Well, I was going to say...
We never finish each other's
sandwiches.
Hey,
That's a stupid
we have
Frozen
a kid.
reference. Oh my God.
We have a little daughter.
We're so lame. Let's be real. We loved that movie before we had our daughter. We can't even pretend like we didn't know the words of that song.
I've never.
Anyway, we're getting really off track here. I'm very excited for this episode because this is a topic I think that's very near and dear to both of our hearts.
It's very applicable for what's going on right now.
Well, what's going on, but applicable because for those of you who you probably know if you've found your way to this podcast, maybe you know this about us. We both work in the wine industry. We have for many, many years. And yeah, this is a pretty hot topic right now because the wine industry, for all intents and purposes, is in a little bit of trouble. It's seeing some
The
unprecedented...
wine industry isn't in trouble.
Well, that's what we're talking about today.
The wine drinkers are the troublemakers. Let's get
or
that clear.
Or lack thereof.
No, they're making trouble. They're rocking the boat. They're being devious and not staying where they used to be.
You sound like an 80-year-old man that's like, get off my lawn.
They
Like,
have changed the trajectory, and it's not okay.
it's kind of a big deal. And the industry, we're trying to figure it out. I mean, like what to do. We've never seen a lack of drinking wine like this.
I mean, it's just alcohol in general, but wine is
that's true.
Definitely
That's very true. And we're going to get into that. Anyway, I'm so ready. I have my Wine Girl sweatshirt on. You can learn more about that through the link in our show notes.
Can't wait.
I have my Russian River Pinot. I haven't even had a sip of this yet, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I will actually hand it off to you now to get us started. Where do you want to start divulging this very hefty topic?
I suppose we should start with introducing the topic.
Yeah, I mean, I that's true. I guess I assume people were read the title of this episode, but really we're just trying to kind of answer the question: is wine a dying breed? Is
wine dying? Is the wine industry on the out?
Mm-hmm.
Are people just not going to drink wine anymore? So
if so, in what capacity? Like, I don't know. There's a lot to unpack here.
The future of
what's the future
of the wine business? Will it look different?
That's a little.
Is it cyclical? Is it going to come back? I have an opinion.
A lot of horrible 2000s fashion is coming back right now. So
yeah, and they have the gall to think that
things that I wore in high school are back. So
you talk to like a Gen Z, you're like, oh, I just found this new thing to tie my hair. It's called a scrunchie. Like what? Come on. Like what? Have you seen Friends?
We definitely plan on chatting about. I don't know if you want to start with Gen Z, which by the way, no shade to Gen Z. They're actually the crux.
Little shade.
They're a crux to this conversation because they're a very important piece to everything that's happening.
It's funny how we become the things we hate. Like
I don't hate Gen Z.
No, we become the things that we hate. So like when I was a kid, the older generation was like always like you damn kids in your baggy clothes, you know?
And
now I'm older and I'm looking down at the generation like, you damn kids and your fucking weird things you do.
I know.
Yeah.
Or we'll see these like literal teenage girls or younger, and they're in these like crop tops or super shorts or like whatever, and
it's February. It's
like,
winter.
Cover up.
It's
like,
winter.
I think
a sweater.
Again, I also think it's because we have a daughter.
No,
now,
it's funny. It's either like really like crop top and short shorts, or it's like
super
huge
baggy and
sweater and
like
sweatpants
no
and like slippers.
It's really funny.
It's like you're at one Michelin star restaurant and
I'm
you're
also
wearing
trying
like
to make sense of it.
baggy gray sweats and
I don't know what teenagers are doing at one.
I mean,
Michelin
at the
star
winery,
restaurants.
I've had you have to pay a lot of money to go wine tasting, and like this guy showed up in plaid what are those called when you plaid pajama bottoms and slippers.
Like in someone in their 20s?
I would imagine.
Were they young? Like were they?
Yeah, they were younger.
I
mean, they weren't old. Yeah, they were younger for sure.
That's funny.
But yeah, it was probably a Gen Z
Did they
age,
have money?
and would never know.
Did you buy anything?
I have no clue. I just
it wasn't even your
walked
group?
by and I went, "Geez,
like what are you doing here?"
Just try a little bit, maybe.
Put
a little
effort in.
Just try a little.
Oh my god. Well, anyway, we sound super crotchety now, so that's fun.
I am crotchety.
You are. That's not a lie. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So
where do we want to start?
All jokes aside, so I guess I have an opinion on the topic. What's your
always
opinion?
Do. Oh, where do you want me?
Just like starting off, what's your opinion?
My initial thoughts are really just for me. It comes down to a couple things. Number one, I think it's actually really sad. I love wine so much, not just because I work in the industry. I just have a soft spot for it. I think it's such a beautiful thing to help people come together and relax and like just enjoy life. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And not that you have to like drink wine or drink alcohol or whatever to like do that, but there's so much love that goes into wine and history that goes into wine. And I think wine has gotten really misunderstood, very poorly marketed in a lot of cases. And again, for those who might not know exactly what I do in the wine industry, I'm literally in digital marketing in the wine industry. I work with a lot of different brands, ranging from ones that have inexpensive bottles to hundreds of dollars of bottles. They cost hundreds of dollars is what I was trying to say. It's going in my head already.
Good Lord.
And I think it's again just very misunderstood. It's been made to feel very unapproachable. I think in a lot of cases.
Yes. Okay.
So
before you continue there, I guess my next question is, why do you think wine isn't as popular anymore?
Truthfully, what I just said.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple reasons, and we're going to get into these too.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, there's just been an emergence of two things: either a more healthy living, non-alcohol drinking lifestyle, which is great, that's absolutely fine, or alternative alcohols, seltzers, craft beers. There's just more in the market. It's super freaking saturated.
Yeah.
So I think that for sure, and also just the consumer. I mean, this is also, if I know we're going to get into, but like, just the boomers who are typically the ones that drank it, can afford it, whatever, are, I don't want to say dying, but they're getting older or they're retiring. We see this all the time,
or
right?
Dying.
Or let's put that bad juju out.
What?
Anyway,
part of life.
It's okay. Yeah, it's a circle of life. We get it. They're not buying wine for one reason or another.
Because they can't or they can't.
Exactly. Good. You said it, not me. And the upcoming generation, again, I think are just more into either non-alcoholic lifestyle living, whatever, or they're experimenting with that, or are just into other types of alcohol. And wine is generally speaking on the more expensive side, right? It doesn't, I mean, there is wine in cans, of course, but like a typical bottle of wine, i.e. what we're drinking tonight, you have a bottle. Most people don't have Coravins where you can get a little bit out.
Most people don't even know what a Coravin
exactly
is.
Sure. Great point.
Coravin, never even met her.
Right.
You
know? Only met her a few times. The little needle thing that you put in your wine and you can get a little out at a time. And
right.
Yeah, you know, that my very sophisticated way of explaining that. Anyway, you open a bottle, it goes bad in a few days, you know.
Sure.
It's a little harder to love. I don't know, or people just don't always like the taste.
Yeah,
or, you know, I don't know, but
wine
and again and also sorry, just last thing, like I said, price point and the way that it has been marketed, I think over the years, it can feel very snooty.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mission is to like make wine cool again.
Yeah, I mean,
I stand.
I think that all the reasons you listed are pretty valid.
Yeah, they are. I know what I'm talking about.
They're all pretty valid. I mean, wine has like the stigma these days that it's kind of working against now.
Yeah.
Whereas, 10, 20 years ago, it kind of used that as ammo. It's now like trying to retreat from certain aspects that it once kind of represented.
Yeah.
And, the new generation, Gen Z, they're trying their damnedest to be original.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they're trying to do things their own way.
Which, like, respect.
Like, I get it, but at the same, there's like a line, I guess. It's like people are coming up with all these different types of, I'm not going to get into it, but yeah.
You have thoughts and feelings.
It's just, they're trying to like blaze their own trail, and good for them.
Which every generation does to a certain extent.
I get it. And this one is just like, for whatever reason, they've been like, no alcohol. Which
or just pickier or more resistant, or they want to spend their money on other things, or healthy lifestyle, whatever. Which sure,
when you
moi?
When you think of wine, like what is the first thing that pops into your mind? Like you think of wine, bang.
Friends.
Oh, cool.
Actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've asked Gen Z people that exact question.
Okay, what'd they say?
They like Gen Z people, kids that are within I can't remember the exact like age range. Gen Z, like,
we're younger millennials actually.
Yeah.
We're kind of on the cusp. Yeah. Actually, I'm 91. You're 90.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, we're pretty close. Anyway. I'm very proud to not be an elder millennial.
Yeah. So the Gen Z
crazy.
That I've asked that question.
Yeah.
The big question or the big answers that they have given me for that are either, first thing that comes to mind is expensive.
Yeah.
Or old.
They're thinking their parents.
Yeah, it's
100%.
Old. It's
like musty.
Old fashioned.
Really?
Yeah, stuff like that is what they said.
Not, I say really like I'm surprised. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. It depends on where you ask this question too, because
did you ask people that work in the wine industry? Though?
Yeah, but they're younger.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, like, they're younger, but old, not cool, stuff like that.
Aww,
like boring.
That makes me so sad.
I know, right?
Poor wine.
I know.
Just sitting here all delicious.
Or it depends. Like some people, you ask them about wine, the first thing they think of will be like sweet. It's the first thing they think of.
God.
Sweet.
You're drinking the wrong. No. Okay. No. Don't get me on my soapbox about sweet wine.
It really depends, but I was also I just saw a list of the top selling wine brands in the United States for 2023.
Okay.
And number one was Barefoot.
But 2023, that's out of date.
Oh, excuse me, 2024. Sorry.
That's also technically out of date.
Well, it's probably barely 2025.
2025 isn't coming. Okay.
So yeah,
Barefoot.
It's Barefoot. So
come on, America, we can do better.
The most
good Lord
popular price point is under $10 for a bottle of wine.
Yeah, which makes a good majority of wine like not drinkable or approachable for most people.
Sure, and I remember when I was like not into wine.
Yeah.
$10 bottle. I was like, okay. $20. I was like,
yeah. Pushing it.
$30. I was like, why would I buy?
And you're in your early 20s at this point, just to
I'm
set the stage for everyone.
Younger.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I remember.
Wait, really quick, can I
Yeah.
turn that question back on
Sure.
you? What do you think of when you first think of wine? I'm just curious. Don't have to think.
Yeah. When someone's like, "What do you think of wine?" I think of a lot of things. It's not like one
You're
thing.
like
I don't
not
think.
fun to
It's
answer that
like
question.
I think of food.
I knew food would be up there for you. Yeah.
Is probably food would be number one. Like food, friends, family, dinner, celebration.
Yeah.
Holiday,
Uh-huh.
feast.
So we're back to food. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's really kind of for me all about food, honestly.
That's on brand for you.
Yeah. So when I first got into wine, I remember it was, 10, 15, $20 bottles of wine. And I wasn't into wine at this point. It was just like when I was first like introduced to it. Since we're from wine country,
Yeah.
like
We're in a weird bubble.
wine has always been like there.
Like around. Yeah.
But my family was never into wine. I always remember as a kid,
Same with my parents.
there was always wine. It wasn't like always good wine, I would
Yeah.
say, but there was always wine everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Which I don't think a lot of places that's the case, right? You don't go to somewhere in the Midwest and you go to a party and there's like wine there. It's not
Or maybe there
the
is, but it's
thing.
very at the mercy of like what is in the grocery stores, which
Yeah.
who knows? Like down in Florida, we had a conversation
Right.
about Naomi
Right.
on this podcast before. Like
Yeah.
that's
So
one of the things
I remember as a kid, like my parents drinking like Menage a Trois,
My mom's-
Apothic,
Yeah.
Woodbridge,
What's the Trader Joe's one? $2 Chuck.
$2 Chuck.
That's what my parents.
I remember
liked.
a lot of that kind of stuff. My Grandma Di,
Mm-hmm.
she was probably Sutter Home's #1 fan. Like she would
The
just
little bottles?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh,
She would bring
God.
like the little 6-pack
my
of the little
cousin likes
bottles
those
of white
too.
wine, and she would just put it on ice.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I wasn't like from a family.
Sorry guys, we're so bougie.
Wasn't from a family. Well, and my family has been from Napa for a few generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so every time I tell people like, yeah, I'm like third generation Napa, and they're like,
what?
so is your family like in wine? I'm like, no, I'm the first person in wine. And they're like, oh, what else is there to do? You know? Like,
But seriously,
there's nothing else to do in a town except make wine. So we weren't like a super big wine family until I got into wine.
Yeah.
And I remember when like a bottle of Silver Oak was like a Christmas bottle.
Yeah.
We would have a bottle of Silver Oak and it would be like, oh,
Holy Grail.
whoa. Or we would have a bottle of, whatever, Camus or something like that, right? And it was like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that's not the case, right? I always joke about my dad, how he was like drinking very inexpensive wine, Menage a Trois, or Apothic, or whatever it was, and if you like those wines, whatever, it's fine, just drink them, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not telling you not to drink
and enjoy.
But when I introduced him to like good wine, I remember it was my first job I got at a winery, and I was like 22, and I brought home 6 bottles of like wine, and they just gave me 6 bottles, like, yeah, bring these home, drink them. You need to know what you're selling, all this kind of stuff. I was like,
okay.
22-year-old, I'm like, this is the best job ever. And so I bring the 6 bottles of wine home. I probably drink them in like 2 days or whatever. And collectively, those 6 bottles of wine were probably worth like at least $600, $700, right? And because they're all like
$100 each?
Yeah, easy, totally. And so I'm drinking these wines, and I like got into it, and so then I started bringing wine home, and I was drinking wine, and so I had wine. My parents were there. I'm like, you want to drink some wine? They're like, okay.
Twist my arm.
And so they got, they were drinking wine with me because I was getting all this free wine.
Right. Yeah.
And
that's how it went with my parents too.
And so, yeah, over time, my dad went from drinking Menage a Trois
and now he's all
to like
fucking picky about it.
But yeah, I'll bring out a bottle, and he's just like, "What's this wine?" I'm like, "I'll tell him." He's like, well, "How much is it?" I'm like, "I don't know, like 175, 200." He's like, "I'll try it."
The price point too. That's a whole. Actually, that's a
like,
that's
Dad.
an episode for another day.
And I created a monster.
Yeah, you absolutely did.
My sister's worse though.
Talk about Silver Oak.
Oh man, she likes good wine. But it was funny how it kind of like all went from there. And
evolved, yeah.
It's unfair because when you're in the wine industry, you're numb to prices because you get so much free wine all the time. Like, we'll drink a
We-
$150 bottle of wine
Yeah.
on like a Monday night. Like, whatever.
Can you not make us sound like so?
But it's not fair, like I'm saying, because we're in the wine industry, because we get these wines for free. So it's like whatever to us. But these wines are special, and people literally buy them.
I know.
And they like save them for like a big birthday.
Do you want to tell?
Like a anniversary or something like that.
Like you'll bring wine home, and I'll be like, really?
Yeah, you'll be like, stop bringing wine home. Why are you bringing so much wine home?
Like the same thing every
first
day.
World problems to the max. Like, man. But it's just that, we being in the wine industry, you become numb to stuff like that.
We are. And we need, that's literally also my job. Part of my job is to remember that there are other states out there and other demographics and other buying habits and purchases and or, behaviors and tastes throughout the US.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It is hard to sell wine online. It's
just hard to sell wine in general.
Yeah.
It's hard to sell like
it's a
quality
luxury product.
It's hard to sell luxury wine.
Even a $30 bottle can be a luxury product for somebody.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Which is so fair. It is not, and like I said, if it's something that it's tough, I mean, you can hold on to a bottle of wine, but it's like that is there's so many barriers to entry, and I definitely think being able to drink it quickly once you open it is like one of the many. It's not one of the main ones, but it's like I've looked into this.
Yeah, so basically, for those of you that don't know, I went back to school and I got a master's degree in wine business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an MBA with emphasis on wine. It's basically
it was not as fun as it sounds.
Yeah, there was no drinking.
There was no drinking.
There was a little drinking. It was basically, it's like an MBA, but there were some wine centric classes.
Mm-hmm.
So graduated with that, and it was really insightful, and I learned a lot, especially from the marketing standpoint, because all of the marketing and data and all that was very applicable to this problem that the alcohol industry is facing, which is Gen Z is not buying wine. So it was a very interesting time to be in.
Or like, how do you sell to them?
Yeah, it was just a very interesting time to be in that program because the wine industry has never had this specific problems before.
Yeah.
So,
or maybe like it has in little bits and pieces, but never to this like
never even close to what we're talking about. Nothing at all. So it was interesting that the curriculum was kind of like, geared towards how can we reverse this? How can we change this? All that kind of stuff. So I learned a lot about marketing to new wine drinkers, how to get them into the category, stuff like that. It was really basically comes down to experiences. And so if you can make someone's first wine experience positive, they have a better chance of having a second and then a third and then a fourth.
Joining a wine club maybe.
So you just have to, people's experiences with wine have to be positive.
Yeah.
Just like anything else, you have a negative experience with something, you're probably not going to do that same thing again. So wine is kind of the same way. It's you need to encourage people to drink wine. You need to encourage them to not be turned off by stigmas about it. You need to encourage people to be curious. You need people to want to try it. And once they start, they have a better chance of sticking with it, essentially. So it was really eye-opening in a sense, because so many people probably have had a negative experience for the first time drinking wine, because a lot of people's first experience with wine is not good wine.
Sure.
So
yeah, definitely. Or can I just throw this out there too? Because as I was talking, I thought about this. So many people, especially who are younger, I was one of them, want to drink to get drunk.
Yeah.
Gen Z might be a little bit different here, but
it's so so
but then it's like, oh, I
heartbreaking.
can't drink wine. I have a hangover, whatever. We still have friends in our 30s that are like,
It's
I can't tell the difference. I don't know. I'm just drinking to feel something.
yeah, it's so
It's like,
heartbreaking when
ugh.
people are like, I love going wine tasting. It's an easy way to get drunk.
Oh my God. Yeah,
It's just
please. It's so much more than that. Yes, you can get like a cute little buzz and stuff, but like, do you come on. You're just ruining the experience for like wine is so it's just so special. And there really is like if you were to really genuinely taste the differences in each one, like if you had multiple Pinots out in front of you, like if we did tonight, like and I don't know, we kind of nerd out on it, obviously, but
some people,
anyway.
everyone has their thing.
Yeah.
Some people love quality wine. Some people love
they're beer people. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, some people love Coors Light. Some people love Miller. Some people just love, whatever, vodka or tequila, whatever. Yeah, everyone has their thing, and if you have whatever your thing is, that's great for you. I'm not trying to like take
whatever your vice is.
Not trying to take your thing away.
Yeah.
But I would just
give it a chance.
Tell people, yeah, just like be curious.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that I've been around and they're just like, I don't like wine, red wine. It's gross.
Gives me headaches.
It's gross. I'll bring them a bottle of very, very high quality wine and they'll try it and they'll be like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know.
It's amazing what happens when you actually spend maybe a few more dollars and then
it's the price to quality thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people just assume that all wine tastes the same.
Yeah. Pinot Grigio is Pinot Grigio. Sauv Blanc is Sauv Blanc. Chardonnay, Chardonnay. Absolutely. That could not be further from the truth for Chardonnay.
It's even simpler than that. People
think it's cougar crack.
People
it's like, no.
It's similar. It's even simpler than that. People think red wine is red wine, white wine is white wine. Oh. It all tastes the same.
Ew, that could not be more
but
wrong.
It's really fun to actually see that like aha moment in their brain when you like introduce it to them and they're like, oh, this is different and delicious.
Yeah. Like, but sometimes it takes people calling out those differences, right? Like what if somebody can't come here and have an experience and try that? Like how, it kind of takes almost a little bit of work. You need to like maybe buy a couple bottles, bring them home, and then put them side by side and taste the difference, which can be super fun. Like do a blind tasting.
But expensive. So that brings me to another problem is the price of wine, especially in the United States, is quite expensive.
Well, and it's about to get worse.
Yeah. Well,
thank you, tariffs. We need to have at least a little bit of a conversation on the tariffs, which we can get to.
Tariffs aren't really going to affect us
European
unless you buy other wines. If you're buying United States wines,
as you should,
it's
because
fine. It's going to impact the price
European wines are.
It's going to impact the price of our wines in other countries. We're not tariffing our own wine, you dork.
What?
What do you mean, what?
Wait,
you know what tariffs are?
Yeah, but like, I thought...
We're going to make a bottle of wine for $30.
No,
it's not like the bottle of wine is going to be more expensive.
I thought something like wines that were coming in is going to affect...
Yeah, that's what I said.
The price point of...
the wines coming in.
We pay for them. Are we saying the same thing?
Yeah.
So, for example,
French wine is going to be more expensive.
Yes.
Well, if there's tariffs against France, I'm not sure what the tariffs with France are.
That's
but like, if there's
it affects every part of the supply chain.
If there's wine coming into the United States from a country that we have like a tariff war with,
right,
it'll be expensive.
So we're literally saying the same thing.
think like we're not getting much Canadian wine unless you're really into ice wine. We're not getting really any Chinese wine or Russian wine. They call it vodka there. So it's like we're not getting much. We're not getting much wine from countries that we're having kind of tariff problems with, which is great.
Okay, I don't know. All I keep hearing.
I don't know too much about if we're having tariffs like with France, Italy, Spain, Portugal.
Those are the ones I'm worried about because those are the ones I love.
I don't know if we are or not. I'd have to read up on that. But our wine is going to get incredibly more expensive for countries that we import to. Or export to, and they import.
I was gonna say, okay.
Well, anyway, U.S. wine going to Canada is gonna be even more expensive than it already is, and U.S. wine in Canada is ridiculously priced. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, so again, I guess tariffs aside, then, what else were you gonna say about the price of wine?
It's just expensive, Yeah. You pay $30 for a bottle of wine
minimum. I mean, well, not minimum, but if that I think is average. I have no data on that particular point, like what the average bottle of wine
low.
is.
But I was just throwing $30 out just kind of as like a starting
I feel like
point.
that's like a median.
You just get, you're getting a $30 bottle of wine, or you can spend $12 and get like a 6-pack of beer.
Yeah.
Or
seltzers or hard cider or
you can spend, college vodka. You get a handle of Taka for like $7.99.
Oh my God.
So that's where people are going. They're like, what's the biggest bang for my dollar? Yeah.
Well, and it makes complete sense that Gen Z would feel that way, still building their salary, money, whatever.
Yeah, coming out of college with tons of debt.
I mean, shit, so are we.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like we have like all the most expensive income. I mean, millennials are kind of fucked, honestly.
Yeah, the job industry right now.
We're not
like
that much better off. If
not
we feel
good
worse
to have to try and get a job right now.
Rough times, man.
It's just, it's tough. I get it. Like,
it's tough.
You don't have that expendable income. Rent's high. Yeah. Gas is super expensive. Like, everything is, inflation. And they're just like,
what are we doing
I'm
here?
not going to spend a ton of money on a bottle of wine. I'm going to buy this. It's cheaper. Or I'm just not going to drink at all because it's a wasteful use of my money. I get it.
Yeah.
But also,
one thing I was going to quickly bring up too, in terms of like, just to finish off the kind of health consciousness thing. Actually, this is a perfect segue into another point that I think is important to bring up and is kind of interesting is wine labeling. And there are some changes with that we can chat about really quick. But I think a lot of people are increasingly, what's the word I'm looking for? Concerned, curious, cautious about what is in their wine, what they're drinking.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
yeah, so okay, I won't interrupt you like you interrupted me.
Sorry. The only thing I was gonna say, and then feel free to build off this. So I think I did talk about this in a previous episode, but like Aveline, for example, Cameron Diaz's wine brand, they have, and I know this because I work with some wine brands that are.
I just thought of a funny tagline for them. Maybe it's wine, maybe it's Aveline.
Oh my God, you're so lame. That was such a joke. Let me regroup from that. That hurt my ears.
Maybe it's Aveline.
They stop.
You're listening, Cameron.
Anyway, so they have really positioned themselves as like, I should have looked this up. I don't know that they're saying they're like natural wine or whatever, but they're basically saying,
oh yeah,
I'm paraphrasing, but like we don't have any additives, preservatives, added sugar, whatever. Good for you. Good for you. You shouldn't. Hold on. But that, in saying that, think about how that looks from a marketing perspective. We don't have this, so that means everyone else does. That is so false. It has made it for those of us who do, sorry, really quick, who farm sustainably, who do all the right things and try so freaking hard. And we're shouting it from the rooftops like, wait, we're doing good things over here too. Like it just makes it an uphill battle for other wine brands.
So it's the Mad Men situation that I think I've talked about.
Yeah, we've talked about this, so we won't belabor this too much.
Everyone's wine gives you cancer. Ours is, what did you say?
I don't know.
Clean.
Sure. Look, yeah.
Ours is
no additives.
No additives. Yeah. Ours is no additives. Ours is clean. Ours is natural. Mm-hmm. Everyone else's is cancer.
But guess what it is at the end of the day?
But it's all the same.
It's
right?
alcohol.
It's just marketing. They're telling people what they want to hear to make themselves feel better about purchasing this item. Mm-hmm. Is what is going on.
Yeah.
So
this marketing thing is really important to talk about with wine. This is where things have gone completely tits up, as they say.
Well, so wine, I get it. Alcohol. It's one of the worst things you can put in your body. It's poison. Literally, we're one of the only.
As we sit here,
we're one of the. I love it. It's one of the only. We're one of the only species in the world that knowingly poisons themselves. And so, it's better than living life sober. No, so. So the thing with the thing with wine and health and all that, like there's places in the world, they're called blue zones, right? And if you're familiar with a blue zone, or if you're not, they are places where people live the longest. They have the highest concentration of centenarians or people that live to 100 or above. One of the main things that all of these places have in common is a glass of wine, at least one glass of wine per day. Yeah. So, although wine is alcohol and alcohol is bad, there are things in wine that
are naturally
are good for you. Occurring. They have health benefits,
antioxidants, whatever.
Yeah, they're antioxidants. There's resveratrol.
Can you explain what that is really quick?
Resveratrol is on the skins of the grape. It's on red grapes mostly, and it's good for your heart. It's found in dark chocolate. It's also which very good for your heart.
Yeah,
stuff like that. I'm not saying eat it like 6 pounds of dark chocolate, right? If it's the
all
same
in moderation,
it's the same thing. Like chocolate, sugar, and chocolate aren't necessarily good for you if you eat a pound of it a day. But if you have like one piece of chocolate, like it
sounds like my mom. She literally had like a little bowl of like Ghirardelli dark chocolate chips and like a little tiny glass of wine. Not her whole life, but like as she got older.
It's okay. It's funny. You don't have to sit at home having a glass of wine and be like, I'm killing myself. Like it's not like that.
We also can't listen. We can't very well sit here and like condone drinking alcohol.
I've served a lot of wine to doctors though. So much.
What does that tell you?
So much.
Feel like we need to cover our asses.
I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, I'm a heart surgeon. And I'm like,
and
I'm like, so what's your opinion on like drinking wine and alcohol? He's like, it's the worst thing you can put in your body. And he's just like,
as he takes a sip. It's amazing.
So I mean,
yeah,
there's things that you can do. I mean,
just
it's just
watch it and enjoy it. That's
don't like go crazy with it. A glass or two, whatever. Yeah. A bottle a night, better not. Just one, because it'll not be good for you, and two, so many calories.
That's a lot of calories.
But it's moderation. But Surgeon General comes out and he's like, no amount of alcohol is safe. You're gonna get cancer. You're gonna die.
I mean,
no.
I mean, listen, no one's gonna ever come out and
no one's ever gonna say alcohol is healthy.
Is good for you.
I get that. So alcohol will never be healthy.
Going in circles,
but there's ways to enjoy things that aren't healthy for you. And
it's funny because it's not like most of America doesn't.
There's a lot of things that aren't healthy for you.
We were just talking about this in a previous episode, like the sugar content in our coffee, or the all the additives and shit in our food.
Preservatives, additives, microplastics.
And wine is like one of the most natural things you could probably have. And I'm not even talking natural wine. I just mean if someone
alcohol is naturally occurring. I mean, fruit will ferment in nature if it's left long enough. Like it'll just ferment and turn into alcohol. That's just what happens, right? With the natural yeast in the air. And so it's just, you can have a little bit of wine and not feel bad, or just alcohol in general, beer, wine. It's just that wine has actually proven health benefits over other alcohols, like beer, or
probably like harder alcohols.
Just wine has some health benefits.
Really quick, because I feel like we've kind of talked about that at length now at this point. But like one thing I was going to mention is with regards to all this label thing that's coming out, because this is a big conversation, with the wine brands I work with is, and the changes that are coming. So one being that domestic wineries, there's this law changing California to include wine in the state's container redemption service, or quote bottle bill. You might know more about this than I do, but it says effective July 1st, 2025. It hasn't happened
yet. I think
yet.
It's the
all wines that are sold in California must include a CRB statement.
Yeah. I think that's the thing where it says on the bottle of like Coke or beer or whatever, it says like you can return it for like 5 cents or some shit like that.
Oh, okay. Well, then
I think that's what it is. I don't really know, but I think
I probably should have. Yeah. Okay. Well,
so anyway. The thing what they're trying to do is put a back label that lists like what you have on like food, right?
Well, hold on. That's what they're trying to do. That's where I was going. So the EU,
right,
is already there. So after December 8th, 2023, they must include notice of allergens, additives, calorie content, and other nutritional information.
When I was in Germany, I bought a bottle of wine.
And it had all that?
Yeah, and it had literally like that white box on the back, and it had like kilocalories, what the ingredients are, like carbohydrates, sodiums, all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
which is fine. I mean, we can have that. Why would you not?
It's
why would you fight that?
Well, some wineries
cares?
Who add a bunch of shit that they shouldn't be are probably
yeah. I didn't think about the cheaters.
Yeah.
Damn.
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of So anyway, it's some of the wine
Mega
brands I already
purple,
work with. Yeah, no, seriously.
artificial cherry,
literally
vanilla.
Seriously,
that shit's funny.
So
Boy.
we'll see if it comes here. There's already wine brands I work with that do that.
What that do what?
That list ingredients.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, there's also a drive to heighten government health warnings around alcohol, including possibly adding carcinogen statements, which fine winemakers should be aware of. Finally, there's also been a shift in... Sorry, guys, I'm reading this too, by the way. Also, some of the source material is going to be linked in our show notes, just FYI. Finally, there has also been a shift in policy related to the use of organic seals on labels. So this change comes from the USDA, which has recently strengthened its oversight of organic claims to require more robust certification of domestic and imported producers, additional tracking and reporting, and more rigorous inspections of facilities seeking organic status, which became effective March 19th, 2024. Good. I mean, I literally feel like you can stick organic on anything nowadays.
Oh yeah,
it's like crazy.
When I was
at least in the US.
When we were in Italy,
yeah,
I was walking around with Alessandro, the owner of the winery, and there was like a group of Americans with us, and we're walking around, and he's giving like a tour, and he was just I felt like every other word he was saying was organic, 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 and I was like, at the end I was like, man, why do you talk about organic so much? And he's like, oh, because the Americans will buy it immediately.
That's amazing.
I'm like, fair.
Smart,
yeah,
man.
It's funny. It's organic has become like a marketing term. It's just like people are like, oh, it's organic. It must be healthier.
Mm-hmm. I mean, think about the produce
organic
you
wine.
buy. I mean, do you pay attention to that? I don't know. I mean,
kind of, sort of.
Yeah, I do with certain like vegetables.
Fruit, I do mostly and
stuff. Yeah.
So I guess another thing I wanted to kind of touch on was like climate change, and
we also need to talk about surplus too. I think that's interesting. Do you want to touch on that super quick, and then we
okay, yeah. So I mentioned, yeah, sure. I mentioned earlier the world is
chatting before
the world has never been in this situation when it comes to wine.
Yeah,
the world is consuming the least amount of wine it ever has in the history of mankind.
It's kind of a big deal.
Never in history have we drank less wine, even when there were less people on the earth.
Wow, think this.
We drink
a moment to process.
We are drinking a very little amount of wine. I mean, the Romans
drink it like probably water.
I think that they were like Roman soldiers were like required to drink like 3 or 6 liters of wine a day.
Is that fact? Like, or are you pulling that out of your?
No, there's actually like a there's a number. I think it's between 3 and 6 liters. I think it's probably more like 3, but they probably drank more than that. But the wine was way less alcohol back then, and it was slightly sweet and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
But
anyway, moral of the story: we're
drinking a little bit of wine. It's getting to the point where I was driving around this past harvest, and there's just so many grapes hanging on the vine and I've talked to other people. I've talked to grape growers, and they're like, "Yeah, we didn't even sell our grapes this year because." One, nobody wanted them, and 2, the prices are so low. Like it's not even you would still lose your money, even selling your grapes. And there's just so many grapes out there that they all can't be used. And so it's gotten to the point where in France, the EU government is actually paying the French wineries to make less wine. So like you make 100,000 cases of wine a year. If you make 50,000 cases of wine, we'll cover the other 50,000 cases that you didn't make. We'll like subsidize you because there's just so much wine available and nobody's drinking the wine. Yeah. It's like so weird to be in this like that situation.
It's a crazy industry to be in, you guys.
And so that's literally never happened.
Yeah.
And so we're starting to see it here in the United States as well,
Mm-hmm.
and people, not being able to sell their grapes and all that. So it's very interesting. But the other thing is like wine isn't like an industry that's like supply and demand, right? It is and it isn't. Like,
well, yeah,
wine is the same price, right? You sell a bottle for $100, and it's always going to be that. It's not like the price fluctuates accordingly to like supply of grapes and all that. So it's kind of interesting in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Where other industries, it's like there's less available, so the price goes up, or there's more available, so the price goes down. That all dictates the price of grapes, not the bottle of wine.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the price of grapes go up and down pretty drastically.
Yeah.
But the ending product bottle of wine pretty much stays static.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know a lot of industries like that. Usually
I'd really have to think
the supply chain, if the supply chain is crazy and like expensive, the end product will be more expensive. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like how it works.
Right.
So it's interesting. It's an interesting industry in that sense.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. All right. Climate change. Want to chat through that real quick?
Yeah. So going back to France again. So like a lot of people don't know actually that France is very heavily regulated. France, Italy, Spain, Germany, all these old world countries are very regulated with the wine they make.
Yeah.
It has to follow, guidelines. It has to be minimum this, maximum that, all this, yada, yada, yada. And so the French government, so places in Bordeaux. So Bordeaux, people have heard the word before. It's people like, what's that? So there are, Bordeaux makes primarily red wine from 5 grapes, and they make white wine from primarily 2 grapes, white grapes. There's really not much else you can grow in Bordeaux. You can't grow like Pinot Noir in Bordeaux, right?
Too hot.
It's not allowed.
Whoa, what?
It's just not allowed. It wouldn't probably do well, but it's not allowed. You grow Cabernet, Cab Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot, Malbec, Carmenere.
Only the French, man.
And then like,
Really?
white wine, it's like mostly Sauv Blanc and Semillon.
Yeah.
So there are grapes that you grow and grapes you don't grow.
Okay, so
for the first time in history, the French government has allowed testing with other grape varietals in different places in hopes that they will find a grape that will be more suitable for climate change. So like there's places in Bordeaux that are like, ooh, we can plant Syrah now, or we can plant this grape. So they're trying to like see what happens, and they're just doing testing on it for the future, essentially. So it's when the French start changing, that's definitely a big deal, because the French don't really change, especially when it comes to tradition.
Yeah.
They're like,
I love about them in a way.
Right. But that's what we all love about it. It's like they're the same, but everything, they're starting to kind of see what's going on with other grapes because of
like everything
the unpredictability. I'm not going to say the hotter weather, the colder weather. It's the unpredictability of weather, which weather's not really super predictable, but like it is to a sense, but it's become even less predictable. And the seasons have kind of either gotten shorter or have gotten longer. It just depends on, where you're at. Like the growing season, winter kind of bleeds into spring. And so that can be problematic for making wine if it's kind of cold through spring.
I feel like we watched a documentary on that, didn't we?
Yeah, for instance, like last year, I think
it was raining like crazy, super late.
Yeah,
and
it was. So last year, the year before, I can't exactly remember, but like Chablis got just like destroyed. So Chablis is in the northern part of Burgundy, in the kind of eastern, middle, northern, eastern part of France, and they got a spring hail, and it destroyed the vineyard. Like some places, some wineries are clocking like 80 to 90% loss of like their production because of this hailstorms.
Dang.
So stuff like that is happening more frequently. Like it's happened in the past, but like, it was like, oh, this was like a freak storm or whatever. Right. But like it's happening more frequently than it has in the past. So they're trying to figure out what they can do to kind of like mitigate these issues, essentially.
I wonder if those countries are also seeing a thing with their younger generations also not like I'm very it's a rhetorical question. I'm just curious.
France, like, there's France is having the least amount of wine drinkers that they've ever had in history.
This is a big deal for these European countries. I mean, this is a part of their we're so young. We're a baby country, so we don't have. I mean, our traditions are whatever. Like, that is ingrained in who they are, from my perspective.
So France, like you're saying, so France, like wine is very traditional in France.
Yeah.
And so the younger generation definitely sees it as like old fashioned, traditional.
So it's like our Gen Z on steroids, probably.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's an old fashioned drink. Their grandpa drinks it. Their grandma drinks it. Like very, very much like that. And so they're kind of going away from it because of that. It's like actually that's a huge issue in France too. Is that problem is like the younger generation is definitely not drinking wine. Most of the time, wine is considered in Europe to go with food.
Yeah.
We're like one of the only countries that just drinks wine by itself.
Just because.
Nobody does that. We're weird. Like every other country drinks wine with food. No Italian or French person goes home and is like, I'm going to have a glass of wine. That doesn't exist.
Well, I mean, I guess we don't know for sure.
No, it doesn't exist. That's not a thing.
Because you just know everything.
Yes, I know. It's not a thing.
Oh my God.
No, I 100% know for a fact that's not what happens. I've talked to
I would like to confirm this.
Many Italians, many French. It's very much oriented around food.
Sure. I mean,
if you go out and you're not having food, you have a beer or you have a cocktail. You don't go out to have wine.
That's it.
Unless you're going to a restaurant to have food.
Or like
aperitifs. No, you have Aperol, you have a cocktail, you have something. Wine is 100% food related in Europe.
Wow. Not wow as in like I didn't know that, but like just this whole thing is just wow.
Yeah, we are the only people that just I want a glass of wine, and you just drink a glass of wine and watch TV. Like nobody does that. Yeah. I guess probably Australians might do it.
I kind of love that we do that because it's great. But man, can we like petition, like save the wine? Oh, this just bums me out because wine is so good.
I mean, I get it. It is old fashioned.
Start wrapping this up. It's
old fashioned is kind of like the cool thing about it. Like,
yeah, can we turn it on its head and be like this? It's classic. It's
like the same thing. Like
I'm gonna make wine cool again. I'm just gonna keep.
Parents need to introduce their children to wine earlier. So they I'm not saying like
gonna love hearing
I'm not saying at like 10 years old, like here's a bottle of wine, Johnny.
But like Italians do. And they're like, here's
introduce it to kids so they, have some sense of what it is.
Yeah.
There's so many things that have become, in the United States at least, so many things that have like kind of been lost in our society, like driving a manual transmission car.
Yeah.
If you come to America and you don't want someone to steal your car, just drive a manual.
But like literally
drive a manual. No one will steal it because no one knows how to drive it.
I do.
Literally nobody knows how to drive a manual car. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it is quite funny.
It's like that you should know how to do that. You should know
there's people that do,
at least the basics of wine. It's something that wine has always been around since the dawn of time. It's always been wine.
See, I love that. So it's like not. This is not like what I want people to like take away from this is like wine doesn't have to be your parents' or grandparents' wine.
It's everyone's.
Freshen it up. Like, yeah, it is one of the most like incredibly amazing
since
historic
the beginning of civilization.
Like, think about how freaking amazing that is. And like envision that when you drink it.
When
like and just find brands that you resonate with that believe in the same like ethos as you. And sustainably grow their grapes or whatever brands align with your values for sure. But like I just feel like people's perspective on wines is so like siloed because they're really limited to what they have available in their stores or what else, or they don't want to pay for it. Completely understandable. But like I guess just like get out of that bubble a little bit and just explore and have fun with it because it literally, I mean, I said friends for a reason. Like for me, I see wine as social as I would going out for drinks or a cocktail.
And so that goes back back to the blue zones. One of the biggest things they say for living to a very, very old age is to have a network, have
Yes.
friends, have people with you. And wine is one of those, community. People that live the longest have a community. They have friends and people around them.
Completely.
And wine is one of those things you do with friends.
That's
and
how I see
so in drinking wine, you'll have friends. If you have friends, you live forever. That's the bottom line.
Yep. And if you don't drink wine, you don't have friends and you're a loner. So that's how that works.
Yeah, you'll die alone.
That's basically what you're saying.
No, but like,
No, but seriously,
if you drink
that's so
wine, you just
true.
have to think of it like you're drinking something that people drank when they were still counting the years down. They weren't going up yet.
Think about that.
They weren't going up yet. They were still counting towards zero.
Yeah.
And then they started going forward again, right? Like, you have to think of it like you're drinking the exact same thing that these people drank back then.
Yeah. Little variation maybe, but like it's still.
And I mean, like, yeah.
And you can get some great wines for not very expensive.
Sure, yeah,
like,
you don't have to spend a lot of
please
money.
remove that barrier to entry because, like, yes, you do. I understand there has to be some disposable income for like a certain dollar amount of wine for sure. But like that, like, just don't like kind of let that be the deciding factor or like, get curious or try wines from other countries. I mean, I want to support our US wine friends, of course, but like, it's
there's literally no better beverage with food than wine. Wine is made to go 100%. With food. You need to watch it. There's a show, it's called Fat, Salt, Acid.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And when wine is made, there's so many different types of wine, and each wine pairs with some type of food.
Yeah.
And when you figure out and try them, it's fantastic. And like, you don't know,
life-changing.
You don't know what you don't know, but like, definitely worth a look. But yeah, I mean, wine has just been around. They built towns, places because there were vineyards. They're like, well, there's a vineyard there. Let's put a town here.
Yeah.
And we can make wine. That sounds good.
It's just not old-fashioned. I just want everyone to get that out of their head. It's just not.
Timeless.
Like, okay, Gen Z, here's a message for you. Or millennials or whoever else. But like, if you want to blaze a trail and not be your parents or your grandparents or whatever, like, cool. Rediscover wine in a way that they didn't. Expand your horizons in ways that maybe they didn't. Don't drink the same wines.
Yeah, I mean, wine is
challenge that.
Wine is transcendent. Wine will transcend everyone. It was here before you were here, and it will be here after you were gone.
Yeah,
it will always be
something
around.
Comes and just completely blows us all up.
Yeah, unless one of those meteors they're talking about hits us, but like whatever.
Good luck.
It's just it'll be there forever,
yeah.
And you can't say that about other things. Seltzers,
so true.
Stuff like that. Like, that's not gonna be around forever. Like, it's just a fad.
Like, it comes from the earth, and there is nothing just greater than that. I don't know. It's just when you really like kind of get down to the nitty gritty of what wine is, and at its core, get all the marketing speak out of it. Like, get the marketing out of your head. Just again, like, find wines that resonate with you. And it's so funny because I think most people go into a grocery store or something and like choose based on the label, which I also think is hilarious.
Labeling's huge.
Yeah. But there's apps where you can, literally scan it in store and learn about it. I mean, we don't have to make these decisions as blindly as we do sometimes.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just have fun with it. Like, I feel like wine is just like so unapproachable and so like stuffy and not fun. I feel like that's how a lot of people see it. Not just Gen Z, like a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And it's just not.
Yeah.
It's actually really the opposite of that if you give it a chance.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I guess my finishing point with it would be just be curious.
Mm-hmm.
Try wine, explore, try different ones. You may surprise yourself.
And your taste buds and everything will completely change and evolve over time, which is also super cool. And I feel like, because when I first started drinking wine, what I liked back then, I don't love now, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. That's just really fun. Like,
be curious.
Yeah. So what is the culmination of this conversation? Is wine a dying breed?
No, never. No. It's
to answer a really big question.
It goes up and down, and it'll come back around.
It's
like fashion.
It's having like a really not cute down moment right now. It's
just like fashion,
but
right?
I think,
it's like things come into style, very, very popular. They go out of style, and then they come back.
Yeah.
It's just,
I really
80s mom jeans. Super popular.
I was like, can they stay there?
Skinny jeans came in. Skinny jeans, skinny jeans, skinny jeans.
Gross.
Now we're back to mom jeans from the 80s, right?
It's true.
It's just like that.
I just want to reiterate again, because just my marketing brain, I just have to get this out one more time. I really feel like wine has become super misunderstood based on the way it's been marketed. Price, there's a lot of factors here. But again, strip all of that away from your mindset and kind of, you know what I mean?
It's just kind of become like this symbol of like snooty,
luxury, status, snooty, whatever. And listen, there are some bottles where that's like, oh my God, really quick before we finish, I was watching, you're gonna just shame me for this, but just bear with me. I was watching the Kardashians the other day. Their new season just came out.
That's on brand.
And they were drinking just because random day. Mm-hmm. It was either Harlan or it wasn't
Screaming Eagle.
It was Screaming Eagle. Yeah. They were literally drinking a freaking Screaming Eagle bottle, which for those who don't know, that's $3,000. I mean, it's
$2,000, a little bit more maybe now.
Yeah. Literally just, So there's a whole conversation we could have just around price alone that we won't even get into right now. We've talked about it a little bit on the podcast.
That's just their Wednesday bottle.
That was, I was shocked. Because I bet a lot of people watching that show did not understand.
Like well, that makes sense.
What Screaming Eagle is, or
they don't even know what Screaming Eagle is.
Well, they know how much it costs.
They just know
they joked about it. They joked about the price.
Yeah, they just know it's expensive and hard to get. So like,
therefore,
sure
Chris
we will
was
have
like,
it.
Oh, just Kendall was like, oh, there's some Screaming Eagle over there. I was like, oh,
can't get it anywhere. It's super expensive.
I can't.
We're gonna have it because of those two things.
Because
it's like,
can.
oh God.
Yeah.
So things like that really are just like
us lay people, us basic people who don't have billions of dollars lying around can also enjoy wine at a decent price.
Yeah, you don't need to spend $2,000 to have a good bottle of wine.
No.
$250 bottle of wine is the same quality as a $2,000 bottle of wine.
At the end of the day, yeah, pretty much.
It's the same thing. You can't. There's like once you get to the top quality, there's really no top quality more than top quality. It just doesn't work like that.
Oh, yeah.
It just you're buying the brand, you're buying Chanel.
You're
bag.
buying marketing.
Chanel is $12,000 for a purse.
I rest my case.
Is it $12,000 worth of a purse? I mean, no. You can get
in my mind it is, but yeah.
bag from Gucci for $4,000. That's fantastic.
That's also
it's the same quality. It's just this one says Chanel, therefore it's $12,000. It's
good marketing. Man,
so you're buying the legacy, you're buying the story, you're buying.
Yeah.
There's also a scarcity factor into there,
absolutely.
but
it's handmade, and anyway, that's a whole.
Or like for instance, a Birkin bag.
Oh, don't even get me started.
$60,000-$70,000 for a purse. They're not even that good looking. They're kind of ugly, and it's like $60,000-$70,000 for this damn purse, and it's like it's not worth that. It's worth it because it's hard to get, probably.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
Stupid.
Anyway, okay. Well, we'll get off our soapbox now.
Anyway, drink wine.
But anyway, yeah, the message today: drink responsibly. Drink wine. Give it a chance. Give it a fighting chance. It really is so good. It doesn't have to be the super bougie, obnoxious.
Don't be afraid of alcohol. Just be responsible.
All in moderation, right? And have fun. Have fun with it. Wine is such a fun drink. It's so. Oh, it's just great. Anyway, we're always
there's some fun experiences.
Not just because we work in this industry, but because it is genuinely a fucking awesome drink.
It is very good.
Yep. All right, you guys. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Appreciate you guys as always. If you enjoyed this episode or you have something to add or have questions, comments, whatever, we want to hear from you guys. So our inbox is open. hello@tastetoasttravel.com. You can DM us. We're on Instagram and TikTok.
If you feel like telling me, or if you feel like telling us we're wine snobs, just
feel free to do that too. But it's nothing we don't already know.
I wouldn't say I'm snobby.
We work in this freaking industry. What do you expect? Anyway. All right, you guys. We'll see you in the next episode.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us and tuning into the Taste Toast Travel Podcast. We really appreciate you being here and hope you're enjoying these honest conversations about all things sipping, savoring, and seeing the world. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, we would truly appreciate a rating or review on whatever platform you're tuning in on, so fellow foodies, Epicureans, and travel enthusiasts can enjoy this content too. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a follow at Taste Toast Travel. We'll see you in the next episode.